Greetings, YouTube. I received a message the other day from one Jarl of Yitland who wants to set up an encounter for some of his players in an inn that involves ogres. Now, the party consists of an alchemist, a paladin, a fighter, a druid with a bear, and an inquisitor. They are all 6th level. They also have some NPCs, which I'm assuming are some kind of NPC class, and of course the inn's going to have some dirty, filthy commoners in it of some variety or other. And he wants to make the encounter scary, but not unbeatable. So he was considering adding some levels to the ogres. He also said in his original message he was thinking of having this attack in the daytime. And my first thought was, how can you have an ogre attack in the daytime that's scary? Ogres are large creatures. You will see them from a mile away, and I'm only being partly facetious. So having the attack in the daytime pretty much negates almost all the scary, unless it's an overwhelming mob of ogres, which will kill them. So for me, if I were to run this encounter, this is how I do it. So if this is going in a direction that doesn't work for you, Jarl, I apologize. But this is the way I would run this encounter. It would be at night. Ogres have dark vision. Take advantage of that. Also, because they're large, it's much easier for them to get next to an inn at night than it is in the daytime. And ogres aren't stupid. They may only have a 6 intelligence, but if there's one thing they're good at, it's attacking, sacking, and taking prisoners. Yes, that's a cat. So I would have one ogre per PC. So it would be 4 ogres. Now, they're 6th level. Ogres have a challenge rating of 3. And I would also have minions for the ogres. And I would have 4 minions per ogre for a total of 16. I would probably make them orcs, and I might even throw in a few kobolds just for fun. Now, there's a reason for this. I'm going to get to that. So, how I would start this attack. 4 of the orcs would be tasked with sneaking into the compound and into the stables. Their job, once the attack starts, is to maim or kill all of the steeds, so that people can't use them to get away. Now, since this is an inn, you'll be lucky if they'll let the bear stay in the stable. So you may have an advantage if there's a bear in the stables that the orcs do not know about. That's an advantage to the PCs. In addition, it's possible that the mounts being used by the party or NPCs may be war-trained, another advantage to the party. And also, this gives you an opportunity to have the players actually play their mounts and animal companions completely separately from the actual party itself, letting them shine a bit, which would be nice. Also remember, at night in stables, none of these things are going to have on barding, so remember that. 2 of the ogres would be at the front gate, or front door, depending if it doesn't have a gate, with a tree trunk battering ram. And no inn-sized gate for or front door for an inn is going to stand up more than about 2 rounds to 2 ogres with a battering ram. They would have 8 minions with them. Now the last 4 minions and the last 2 ogres would be behind the building looking for escapees, people who are climbing out of windows trying to get away. I'm assuming the goal of the ogres is loot and slaves. Because if they wanted to just eat these people, they'd just burn the place to the ground and, hey, barbecue! So I'm assuming they're after loot and slaves, so they're not going to destroy the building, at least not initially. Now, ogres are large, so even once they get that door open, they're not going to want to go in there, because medieval structures don't have the ceilings we have. Most ceilings are going to be in the 6 to 6.5 foot height. Okay, they're low, 7 foot if you're lucky. So they're not going to want to fit in there. I mean, cramped circumstances, negatives to all their skills and attacks and defense while they're in there. So they're going to send in the orcs. Remember, at night, the PCs are not going to have any armor on. They're not going to be fully equipped. They're going to be asleep. This gives them a slight disadvantage, I admit. However, they are inside a building, which gives them certain defenses against the orcs. And because ogres are large, if they're on a 2nd floor, not only could they rain down ranged attacks with weapons and spells, there's possibility they could actually attack the ogres with polearms from the 2nd floor. So they have a defensive position, so that gives them some advantages. Now, if things go really badly for the player characters, they may get killed or knocked unconscious, and they get taken as slaves, which takes the game into a different direction, but potentially interesting direction. Now, if they're having a really easy time against these guys, things are in their favor, they're taking good advantage of their the defenses they have, and they really are just cleaning the clocks of all the orcs involved, and the kobolds are all gone, or almost all gone, and the ogres are unable to come in and be effective, you can bring in reinforcements. Now, the reinforcements I would bring in could be different types. For example, one of the kobolds could be a spellcaster and could have like a flaming sphere scroll, or maybe a wand that has a few charges left in it, or has a couple of low-level spells of their own that could be useful. You can just instantaneously add a couple of fighter levels or a couple of barbarian levels to one of the existing ogres to make him a little tougher. That's not hard to do on the fly. Another thing you can do is have reinforcements be actual reinforcements. Say there's an ogre that has been tailing along behind the rest of the party because he's slow. Say he's a mutation. It happens fairly frequently amongst ogres and things like that. That's where we get Ettins from. Say he's got 4 arms, but he has to walk like a gorilla. So he walks slower, and so takes him a while to catch up with the rest of the party. And say he's got some more minions that are his personal slaves. So now you've got reinforcements of both the medium and large scale. So you could stretch out the encounter a little more. Now, I'm assuming the player characters are going to beat this because, this isn't the main thrust of the adventure, I don't believe. It's just an encounter. So now they have to decide. Do we just sit in our laurels and be the heroes of the day and everyone in the place loves us and maybe we hit on barmaids? Or do we find out where these ogres and these orcs came from, hunt them down, and eliminate the potential future danger to the community, even if it is just an inn and a few isolated, cottages and such in the area? So that's how I would run this encounter. I wouldn't have it in the daytime, and I apologize if by making this at night I have completely thrown your encounter idea out the window. It wasn't my intent. But if you're going to have a race that is big and has dark vision, I can't imagine why you'd want to have them attacking in the daytime. This is how I'd run it, so that's how I'm presenting it. Now, I'm looking for ideas from commenters about how you would handle this encounter, or how you might modify what I've said about how I would run the encounter. Just to, throw out some decent concepts. Maybe we can just brainstorm here and come up with some things that none of us could think of on our own. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say.